Shalom, Boker Tov, everyone. Happy Passover for those who celebrate. This is going to be the last teaching I'm going to offer for Passover. We are in the middle of Passover called Chol HaMoed, but we are entering the last few days of festival. So really, this is my last message I want to offer to you, and it's one of my favorites, as if the other ones haven't been my favorites. And I share it with you in a spirit of love and really in honor of all those who are leaders right now in this difficult time, and how difficult leadership can be, how challenging leadership can be, especially in difficult times. Okay, here's my message. Give a little background. One of my favorite teachings, I believe it's a Kedushat Levi, but it's a Hasidic Rebbe, a mystical teacher, talks about the progression of leadership in the Torah. And he starts by explaining that basically that the soul of an earlier biblical Torah character gets, in a sense, using this kind of a Jewish view of reincarnation, all the way into Moses. So follow me here. Early in the Torah, Genesis chapter 6, we have the story of Noah. I won't give the whole story here, just briefly though. Story of Noah, the world is corrupt, it's terrible, there's just Noah, he's righteous in his generations, it says. And basically, for those that know the story well, basically Noah takes the message seriously to build an ark to save him and his family and all the 2x2 animals. And he does so. The world is corrupt, it's terrible, people are acting maliciously, insidiously. And he therefore goes and he saves his family. As told, by the way, as asked by God. He follows God's request. And the story of the raven, the peace, the olive branch, and the dove. But the bottom line message from this one Hasidic teacher is that Noah, when told that the world is in trouble, he takes care of himself, as asked, and his immediate family, and some of the animals, of course, but no one else. Fast forward, Abraham. Abraham's considered the first Ivri, the first Hebrew, the first one to follow Adonai as we understand it in the Torah. Later on in Genesis, in the famous Torah portion called Lech Lecha, Genesis 12, I believe. It goes forward in Abraham. Abraham is told by God to follow and go to the land that I will show you, and the land of Israel, etc. It's beautiful. I'll make you as your progeny as the stars in the heaven, the sand of the sea. And in that stories, there's a famous story of Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom and Amorah. And in that story, these are two evil cities. Again, not going to background here, but feel free to read it. It's great stories. These are like the classics. And when Abraham knows and discovers this problem via his relative named Lot, he knows there's issues here in Sodom and Gomorrah. God says, I'm going to destroy them. And Abraham goes to God. Well, first, God shares this with Abraham. Abraham says, look, I have no personal interest there. I aside from my nephew Lot, I don't have, who is now fled, this city is disconnected from me personally. I don't have any relatives there per se. I don't have any interest. But it's wrong, God, for you to destroy a city where there could be 50 righteous people living there. And then there's this famous negotiation. Well, God says, okay, if there are 50 righteous people found there, I won't destroy it. I said, well, Abraham says, well, just 45. And they go down, negotiation. Finally, Abraham says, look, God, if there are 10 people, what we call a minyan, this is later on in Judaism, 10, just a quorum, would you destroy the city for this quorum? And God says, how can I do that? And in the end, even though Abraham tries very hard, selflessly, to save these cities from destruction, in the end, as you may know, they are destroyed because they can't even find 10. But the transition there, one of the arguments this one rabbi makes is that the soul of Noah was one of saving people, but it was only saving himself and his family. Abraham goes one step further. It's a kind of refinement of that neshama, of that soul. He's willing to save and take care of people that are not immediately in his, personal bloodline. But he cares about others, and he's willing to stand up and, as the Torah says, not stand idly by while the neighbors bleed. Okay, but fast forward even further. And this is why he describes, as one rabbi, as the greatness of Moses. Because Moses, in addition to not wanting to lead the people, in addition to thinking he's not worthy, all the stories you know about Moses, it's the night of Passover. In the end, when he's leading the people in the desert and they're complaining to him, why'd you take us out? It was better back in Egypt. We had the food was better. Essentially saying, you're causing and it was difficult in the desert. No doubt wandering is difficult and challenging. It's scary, At least in Egypt, there was a sense of security and a role. Even though it was an enslavement impression and horrible, the people wanted that over what Moses was offering, or frankly, what the desert was offering. And Moses is consistently very frustrated. Very frustrated. But in a key moment, when God is so upset with the people complaining about lack of water, there's all kinds of stuff. Golden calf. God eventually says at one point, his famous line says, Moses, get out of the way. Let me just wipe them out. And Moses says, famous lines, if you are going to wipe them out, basically, take me with them. Erase my name from the record of the Torah. Meaning, Moses is frustrated with the people too. Moses recognizes the people are not acting well. He's not, not all, but most, or a significant number. But he says, I love this people. I care about this people. I identify with this people. They are difficult. But my love for them, my concern for them is so overwhelming. As a leader, take me with them. I'm at one with them. This is the progression of leadership according to the Torah's model. Noah's model, the world's going bad. Okay, save me, my family. Refinement, Abraham, the world is bad. There's an aspect of the world that's bad. Let me try to save them, but in the end, if you have to, God, okay. Moses, as a leader, says, even if the people's difficult, even if they complain, they criticize me, I love them so much. I'm not leaving them. I'm sticking with them. And I'm not giving up. There's such a powerful leadership model, which meaning that when you're a leader and your love for your people you're leading, and I mean this leading if you're a school teacher or if you're a parent or if you run a soccer team, a football team, whatever it is, or you just have a group of people you're in charge of in your work. The key to great leadership, Mosaic leadership, is that even when people will be difficult, and inevitably they will be, everyone goes through moments, and you have to tell them the bad news. You have to tell them things maybe they don't want to hear even. You do it from a place of love and concern, that you are at one with the people. Then your leadership, generally, is going to be respected and honored and everlasting. My experience, even as a rabbi, I have my kvetchy Jewish people. They don't always like decisions that I have to make or decisions that our leadership as a synagogue have to make. And not everyone gets on board, okay? Two Jews, three opinions. I get it. But in general, when I remember that and tap into the love I have for my people, or even my children, I have to tell them something that they don't want to hear, or they don't like the decision me and my wife have made. But we convey to them, the reason we're doing this is not because I'm looking to upset you or disappoint you or frustrate you. It's because I love you, sweetie, that I can't let you ride your bike on your own, to my little child who wants to do this right now desperately, all over North Raleigh. It's because I love you. Someday, yes, but now I love you. I'm concerned about you. That's why I'm saying no. Or I love you enough to say that it's not healthy to do whatever decision with your diet, etc. I love you enough to say that this aspect of Jewish practice is going to have to go in this direction. I know that's not what you want, but this is Jewish law, but I do it from a place of love. When that love comes through because I care about you, which is Mosaic love, that is when leaders are respected. and they're honored. The question is not, are the people going to complain? They're always going to complain. They're going to be highly critical. Some of them may even be mean. Through that, can we still love them through it and guide them? That is a test of real leadership. In the end, Moses infamously, is not allowed into the promised land. This is one of the most difficult quandaries a lot of people come, including myself. How can it be? He gets all the way, all the schlepping, the complaining, the struggle. This is the greatest year. How can he not be allowed in the promised land? And what is the quote-unquote sin? The people complain again about not enough water, and God says, speak to the rock, and the rock will give water. And Moshe says, forgets it. He beats the rock twice. Now, most people say that that's it. His sin was a sin of anger. Most commentaries, it doesn't seem to fly. He's allowed to get angry. Moshe is frustrated. I get it. I totally get it. But one of the commentaries I like is not just based on the fact that he got angry at the people or didn't follow God's wishes. God commanded him to speak. It's two different classic answers, but they don't seem like enough not to enter the land. One of the things he says in the course of hitting a rock, when he's frustrated, he says, basically, okay, you rebels, I'll give you water. I'm just paraphrasing. And the phrase that some of the rabbis focus on is he says, you rebels, to them. He calls the people and says, you rebels. And what they say is, what this demonstrates is that even Moses, eventually, over years, his love for the people through the phrase, you rebels, has diminished. He's burned out. He has separated himself from the people. He doesn't feel at one with them like he did in the refinement of his soul over those generations. He's gone too far. We can have Rachmanis and compassion on Moshe. It's hard. But great leadership is even when the people are complaining, usually rooted in their worry, in their anxiety, in their fear. A great leader can hold them close and not feel separated from them, but love them through it, even when telling them bad news. Here's my close. Right now, we have leaders in our country that you can feel that they love us, that they're worried about us, that they're making decisions for us like a good parent, teacher, coach, boss does. A great parent, teacher, boss, coach doesn't do everything we want just because we want it. A great teacher, boss, coach, and maybe even say someone modeling after God, loves us so dearly they can also tell us, listen, it's going to be hard. This isn't easy. I know this may not be, there's going to be, great like military leader says, but I'm telling you, the reason I'm guiding this way is because my love for you. I'm worried about you. I'm connected to you. I'm like how Moses was when he was tight. And I've avoided a lot of these commentaries are getting too political, but some of our leaders are calling the people that are complaining or critiquing in our society today, are using the phrase, you rebels, are separating, are attacking. A great leader can say to people who are even attacking, listen, I know this is hard. I know you may not understand everything I'm doing. I'm trying my best, but my ultimate concern is you, is my love for you. I will not abandon you. I will walk with you. Not like, for example, some of our leaders, when asked questions about their leadership, just attack, make fun, push down, denigrate. I want a leader who honors our fear, who honors our concern, and sees it as holy. Moses at the end, why was he not led into the promised land? It's because he at that point could no longer be the leader, because he had lost the love. He had become burned out. And I don't look down on Moses about that. I get it. Believe me, I get it. He had earned it. But his time had come to no longer be leading when that love couldn't overflow, even when he told us difficult news. Last close. In the Shoah, the Piasetzner Rebbe, one rabbi, was given the chance to leave the Warsaw Ghetto, to leave his congregation. He was considered an esteemed Jewish leader, and they said that we'll get you out. And he chose on numerous occasions to stay, and he ended up being killed and murdered by the Nazis because of that decision. No one can say it's unbelievable self-sacrifice, it's martyr. But when he talks about what he did it for, it's not because he didn't fear for himself, and not because he didn't see value potentially in him as a leader being free in order to serve other roles. It's because his love for his people was so great. He was at one. He could not separate himself from his people. Even though if you read his decision-making and law decisions in the camps, they weren't always exactly what people wanted to hear, but it's because they knew he loved them, and that his decisions are rooted in love, in chesed. In this first week of the Omer counting, in chesed, that they accepted them. Why wasn't Moses led in the promised land? Because that love had diminished in his heart, and frustration and anger had overwhelmed, demonstrated through the hitting of the rock. I want leaders and pray for leaders now, and am grateful for the ones that exist, that even when they're telling us difficult news right now about how we're going to or not reopen the economy, but the fact that there still are people that are at risk, the fact that this isn't going to be easy. They're telling us things that many Americans don't want to hear. But when they root it out of love and concern for us, like Moses in his high point, then they've got the people in their hearts, and the people know that. Then we are willing to travel anywhere with those leaders. Because that love and concern, that parental love and concern, I would say that divine love and concern through them, gives us faith and trust that they have ultimately our best interests at heart. May our leaders, including our president, come to realize that if he were to love us and show that and honor our anxiety and concerns as opposed to calling us rebels, he'd have us. And those leaders that show that love and concern, that recognize our anxiety and don't separate themselves from it, they have us like Moses. May we all rise up to be like Moses at Moses' best. And may we all eventually, please God, enter that promised land together, because we love one another even through this difficult time. Wish everyone who celebrates a happy Passover, end of Passover, a Chag Sameach, and please God, on the other side, may we understand love, leadership, and enter the promised land together with that love. Shalom, Boker Tov.